Hello, welcome into the latest edition of ESPN FC. I'm Dan Thomas, joined by Craig Burley and Paul Mariner. Gab Marcotti will be with us shortly to reflect on a victory for Italy in the Euro qualifiers. But we start in Valencia, Spain taking on Norway. Sergio Ramos leading out the side, and 16 minutes in, it would be Spain who would take the lead. Jordi Alba finding Rodrigo, who'd make it 1-0.
Yeah, it's a nice ball in from Jordi Alba. Rodrigo, it looks like a simple tap-in. It is to a certain degree, but it's still a very nice finish.
Speaking of simple tap-ins,
yes.
At the other end, 15 minutes later, this is quite a miss, isn't it?
It was a great move from Norway, and I mean, if he tried to clear that again, he couldn't do it. What happens is he hits it on his heel, his left heel.
Right.
Oof. It's hard to explain how he missed it, but he did.
It's a remarkable miss, it really is.
So a real let-off for Spain there.
Speaking of misses, here's Alvaro Morata.
Well, not for the first time. It's a beautiful ball in, and the number of times that you do this sort of thing in training, he's got to know it's a glancer, he's got to put that away.
He had a couple of other chances as well, by the way, as we take it into the second half. Penalty awarded to the visitors. Was it the right decision?
I think so, yeah.
Aye.
A lot of pulling going on there, and then... Is that Ramos?
This you can just see here, yeah.
No, Martinez.
No, it's not.
Martinez committing the foul, and Joshua King steps up to make it 1-1.
It was a solid pen, wasn't it? Very
Morata looking to get Spain back into things, and his header, though, goes wide.
Well, this one's worse than the first one, because the first one he at least made the goalkeeper make a save. Now, this is goalkeeping error because it's a poor back pass, it's Morata going through, and in true goalkeeper fashion, he doesn't have to come out here, Paul, does he?
No, he does not. I mean, as soon as we saw it, I mean, it's a cheeky little finish there from Ramos. As soon as we saw it, we knew the goalkeeper was going to commit the foul.
Even you knew he was going to do that.
And he does that a lot these days, does Ramos. It finishes then Spain 2, Norway 1. This wasn't the swashbuckling, high-scoring sort of game we're used to seeing from Spain. Or maybe we're living in the past a little bit.
Correct.
Of the Xavi and Iniesta, those sort of days, compared to like this starting 11 now. You think of the team that was so dominant and successful. You know, with the exception of Ramos, this is very much a new generation, Ramos and Busquets. And I don't think it's fair to say none of them would get in to that 11 that was so brilliant in 2008, 2010, 2012.
And whilst Busquets is not, he's not finished, for a guy, he's played a hell of a lot of football in his career. He's got a lot of miles, in those legs. So that's not going to be easy for him to continue club career and playing for your country in the standard that he has. Look, the Nations League wasn't that long ago, and Spain went to Wembley and dominated and played really well. They beat Croatia 6-0 as well at home. I think it was match day 1. And then England whooped them in Seville. It's kind of a crossroads for Luis Enrique in terms of some of the old guard are still there. Quite a lot have gone, and bringing some younger guys in. But I think they're a long way off, clearly a long way off where they were when they were at the height. But where that was a very high bar.
And that's the problem, isn't it? Because fans remember that. It wasn't that long ago, and that's inevitably what they're going to be compared to.
Yeah, absolutely, Dan. And look, to be compared to that particular group is a huge comparison. I mean, it's very difficult to keep maintaining these levels. But when you look at the side today, it wasn't a free-flowing side. I mean, we talked about Morata earlier. I thought going back to Spain that he would start to come into his own again. But he keeps getting these chances in front of goal. And I was highly critical when we were watching the game about the few headers that we saw. Yeah. You know, when you're in the training environment, you know as a striker, when the ball's coming to you, know what sort of a header, whether it's a glancer or whether you can just power it down into the back of the net. You know what to do. And he looks as though he's all at sea again. And it's, you know, if they took their chances, yes. I mean, this could have been 3, 4, 5. But to be fair to Norway, they hung around, and Spain allowed them to hang around.
Gab, we're talking about this match almost as if Spain lost. Obviously, they got the win. They win 2-1. But inevitably, you look at that and you just accept now that Spain don't instill that same sort of fear on opponents that they did in the past.
Yeah, I mean, look, I understand where you guys are coming from. It's also worth remembering that, you know, they were one of the favorites heading into the World Cup. and that the generational shift had already happened. They blew everybody away in qualifying, as Craig said there. You know, they had a brilliant start to the Nations League as well, and that was earlier this season. I think what's hurt them is a number of players who were sort of key until that point. I'm thinking of Asensio. I'm thinking of who did start. Isco obviously wasn't there. Some of the younger crew like Dani Ceballos, who started but obviously doesn't get limited time, or he doesn't get a lot of minutes at Real Madrid. You know, a lot of these people have been caught up in some of their difficulties of their club season. Other guys like Odriozola moves to Real Madrid, basically never plays. I think that's hurt them, and in some ways, it's victims of their own success. I still think they can be very competitive once Luis Enrique sorts it out, if Luis Enrique can sort it out.
Elsewhere in the group, let's check out what happened between Sweden and Romania. It would be Sweden who would take the lead in the 33rd minute. Augustinsson with the cross in, and Quaison's there to break the deadlock.
Yeah, Sharp makes that very dangerous near post run, keeps himself alive, has a little poke at it initially, doesn't quite get on the end of it, but stays alive and just taps it in.
5 minutes to go in the first half. Romania looking to clear the ball out, and it only comes as far, though, as Quaison who make it 2-0.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it's a difficult clearance, really, and it just falls, as you said, to the edge of the box. Just comes, it actually just strikes the player, and then that's a good finish.
Yeah, it is.
Romania will make a game of this, though, in the second half. Kersu would make it 2-1 with his header.
Yeah, initial runner not tracked. Just, as you see here, very unselfish. He could go for the goal. He doesn't. He just clips it back to his mate, and he just goes in with a header.
So it finishes Sweden 2, Romania 1. Also, we saw today Malta with a 2-1 victory over the Faroe Islands. It was a dramatic game there. Malta hanging on for the win to go top of the group with Spain and Sweden. Just a reminder, if you ever miss a show, you can download our daily podcast, which is available over on the website. Continue our look at what happened today in European qualifying. Let's go to Italy as they were taking on Finland. 7 minutes into this one, the Italians take the lead. Barella with a goal, but takes a massive deflection.
Yeah. Well, it's a difficult skill coming to him at pace on the half volley. There it is. Yeah, you're right, Danny. Huge deflection, but he's not bothered. He'll take it.
Wasn't that difficult spot. 20 minutes into the second half, Teemu Pukki with the best chance for the Finns.
Yeah, it wasn't easy, but I mean, it was actually a nice weighted ball into him. He might have let it run across, and taking it on his left foot might have been the better option.
But then with 16 minutes to go, it's 2-0. Moise Kean with the goal. A lot of hype about this youngster. Nice finish here.
This is a beautiful finish. Change of pace as well. It's laid in, and they just stuck it past the goalkeeper. Great finish. He had a lot to do there.
And it finishes then Italy 2, Finland 0. Let's go straight out to Gab and talk about Moise Kean. Gab, because obviously within Juventus we know there was a lot of buzz around this kid, but from the outsider's view, maybe we don't know too much about him, but he has really kind of made a statement over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, he first popped up when he became the youngest person born from the year 2000 onwards in any of the Big Five leagues to make his debut. That was a while back. More recently, we saw him score against Udinese. We saw him play very well for 20 minutes or so against Atletico Madrid in the Champions League. And now this, Mancini throwing him in there. Obviously, no Chiesa, no Insigne, and he delivers with a goal. And more than that, a really sort of aggressive, forward-thinking performance. And by the way, he's also the second youngest goal scorer in the history of the Italian national team.
You like him, Paul, yeah?
I do. Look, he's 19 years of age. Obviously, you don't want to pile on too much. But I'll tell you, everything that I saw today, and obviously when he played the little cameos for Juve, it's his work rate. He's playing on the right-hand side. I'm sure he's just round about 6 foot tall. I'm sure eventually he can play in the 9 role. He's strong, he's quick, he's willing to put the mileage in for his teammates. And what was noticeable today with his goal, it was a decently weighted ball, but it was a change of pace. It was that acceleration that just got him in front of the goalkeeper, and then the calmness of a 19-year-old just to slot it past the goalkeeper. So I thought he put a fantastic shift in, playing on the right-hand side today. I thought it was terrific.
it's he hasn't had much game time. And it's something that we talked about with the England team and Gareth Southgate. Is the Hudson-Odois of this world not really getting much game time at Chelsea, but gets a chance for England. OK, some injuries, that helped, because he was in the under-21s. The same for this lad here. Got some game time at Verona last year, has had like 100 minutes or so for Juve. We watched him, and I think it was the game Gab was referring to, was the game before the Atleti Champions League game, where they made some changes to keep people fresh for that big game. He played for Juve that night at home, and he looked a handful that night. And now to take it onto the international stage, I've talked about that, how the pressure of playing for your country, particularly at home, particularly when you're in a qualifier and you've had a bad qualification the last time round, to go out there as another young player playing for his country, to do the things that these guys are doing at the moment so well, is a testament to what they're learning coming through the youth systems.
Gab, it's interesting considering we talked a lot about Spain and how they have set the bar so high over recent years. It's kind of the opposite, isn't it, for Italy, obviously not making it to the World Cup. So what are the expectations around this team going forward?
I'd say there's sort of two things that dominate. One is that people really like the fact that this is an Italy side that tries to take the game to the opposition. The old sort of defend, counter, react, which helped Italy win a lot of silverwares internationally. That's pretty much out the window. You've got that midfield with Barella and Verratti and Jorginho. They want the ball. They want to be proactive with it. They want to take the game to the opposition. The other thing is just the sheer number of really talented youngsters that are coming through. It's obviously not just Moise Kean. We saw Zaniolo make his debut today for Italy. Barella in midfield, possibly the best Italian midfielder in the world, and certainly a guy who's drawing a ton of buzz. Chiesa, who was out, Bernardeschi didn't have the best game tonight, but again, showed a lot of work rate, a lot of personality, a lot of creativity. Romagnoli is going to be back at the back. Donnarumma in goal, still a kid. So it feels as if there is a real generation coming through, and unlike so-called golden generations of the past, it feels like they're playing modern football, exciting football, a football they want to watch. And by the way, they finally scored 2 goals in one game. The last time that happened was way back in 2017, and that was against Liechtenstein.
Wow. As it would be, Bosnia would take all 3 points. Meanwhile, Liechtenstein taking on Greece.
Oh, the big one.
Whoa.
There you go.
Look at him. Go on, son.
Just before the break, literally the last kick of the first half, for Tunis with a volley to make it 1-0.
I'll tell you what, it must have been a perfectly timed run, and that coming over your shoulder, that is a quality finish. That's fantastic goal.
10 minutes to go in the game. Donis would seal the victory to make it 2-0.
Oh,
another little similar ball in behind. Little clip.
Obviously didn't learn the lesson.
Good touch.
Yeah.
Narrow angle, get the laces through it.
Beautiful. Beautiful goal.
Finishes Liechtenstein 0, Greece 2 then in Group J. They're alongside then Italy and Bosnia-Herzegovina winning their opening matches. Meanwhile, let's check out what happened in Group D. Georgia and won. They made hard work of it, did the Republic of Ireland. Next up for them, they take on Georgia at home. Meanwhile, Thibaut Courtois, of course, we discussed it, had that big error in Belgium's win against Russia. He came out and said, I got a nudge from the Russian attacker. I didn't have the strength to clear it. I made a bit of a mistake. That's the life of a goalkeeper. After that, I calmed down and played my game.
Well, you didn't have a safety make after that. What about the nudge from the nudge from the nudge from the attacker? Juba came after he'd had about 14 bad touches.
Look, I'm sorry. You as a player, you've got to feel the pressure. You've got to know that the pressure's coming.
I like to say he just said it was a bit of a mistake.
So what happens?
It was a big hold.
So what happens during this game is anything that, and by the way, Belgium kept passing it back to him, but anything that he was manoeuvring onto his right foot, he just didn't look comfortable at all. When it was on his left foot, he could pick a pass. When he had to shift it onto his right foot, it was comedy capers.
Yeah, it was. Interesting in those quotes as well, Gab. He mentioned the fact that the Spanish press are out to kill him at the moment, obviously after some poor performances from Real Madrid. It hasn't quite worked, as I'm sure he would have hoped. He really pushed, didn't he, for that move from Chelsea to Real Madrid, and so far it has been far from successful.
Certainly that's true. He's not had a great season at Real Madrid by any stretch, but then again, neither has Real Madrid as a whole. He went from a system at Chelsea under Conte, and before that under Mourinho, where he had a defense that tended to protect him a lot. Real Madrid, they tend to defend higher up the pitch, and it took him a long time to get accustomed to that. Throw in the fact that there's a lot of people who simply like Keylor Navas better, and I think that's where a lot of the pressure comes from. But I think it's also significant that both Lopetegui and Solari had made Courtois their number one. Zidane, we'll see. Obviously, Keylor Navas started the last game, but I think I don't see any scenario where they just ditch him this summer. I think he gets another shot at winning his starting job back.
So the press don't like him in Spain. The fans don't really like him, and he left, as you say, he pushed for it, and the Chelsea fans despise him as well.
Yeah, the Atleti fans are destroying the mural to him outside the stadium, so he's popular. It's like you going home, Craig.
He's making how many Chelsea fans hate him? If he's the number one that they hate, I'm going to have to up my game.
Well, if you look at the mistakes that he's made this season, he's not.
I prefer Keylor Navas.
Well, I think a lot of people do. But to my point earlier, as a goalkeeper, you've got to know where the pressure's coming from. When you're holding onto the ball, international football and any football, put it in the crowd.
Yeah.
By the way, Belgium had just scored as well. Literally, 60 seconds. I don't know exactly.
Yep.
And then I told you about goalkeepers.
I know. Paul, we haven't had a chance to talk to you about England, and we will do that, I promise, over on Extra Time. Just a reminder, you can check that out over on the website. We'll be answering, of course, some of your questions as well. Mexico against Chile, the game all about Tato Martino's first game in charge as head coach, of course, after leading Atlanta FC. 14 minutes into this one. And it was Chile with the opportunity to break the deadlock. Arturo Vidal with a header, good save.
Yeah, great ball in. Fabulous leap on the back stick there from Vidal. Gets all the power behind it. Maybe a little bit too close to the goalkeeper, but still a decent save from Ochoa.
Mexico, though, would dominate the second half. 6 minutes in, Caicedo's brought down penalty.
Yep, good spot from the official. The usual shenanigans at corners here. You can clearly see arm over the shoulder, pulls him back. Good spot, the referee.
And it's Raul Jimenez, makes no mistake in making it 1-0. And 13 minutes later, Guardado with the cross into Hector Moreno. We make it 2.
Yeah, it's quite remarkable, Dan. The marking's absolutely dreadful at this level. Almost a free header.
It would be 3-0 in the 65th minute, just a moment after the kick-off. Chaco Lozano with a beautiful chip.
Fantastic little... That's such a clever little finish. Knew exactly what he needed to do. Executed perfectly.
Chile get a late consolation goal, but it finishes Mexico 3. Chile 1. Meanwhile, Peru taking on Paraguay. 4 minutes into this one, Peru take the lead and in some style as well. A beautiful strike from Christian Cueva.
Well, he's going away from the ball, has to adjust his body, and to put this right across the face into the top corner. Absolute screamer of a goal.
Paraguay's best chance came in the 18th minute. They were denied, though, by a superb stop by Galisi.
Yeah, I think he always had it. Little flick on here, and I think he always had it covered.
So that finishes Peru 1, Paraguay 0. Pick of the bunch when it comes to the Euro qualifiers this week. The Netherlands taking on Germany. Just one of many matches available for you on ESPN News, ESPN 3. But the Dutch against Germany on ESPN Plus. It starts here at 3:45 Eastern. Also, live soccer view on Tuesday. That one on ESPN2 as the US men take on Chile. Coverage of that match starts at 7:55 Eastern. Meanwhile, Brazil taking on Panama in a friendly. This was in Portugal. Lucas Paqueta taking the number 10 shirt. Of course, normally worn by Neymar. No Neymar in the game. He was in the stands. 32 minutes in. Casemiro and Paqueta make it 1-0.
Yeah, nice ball to the back post. Obviously, the right back didn't know that the ball was coming in.
Oh, there's Neymar, loving it.
Oh, he's loving life.
4 minutes later, though, Adolfo Machado makes it 1-1.
Oh, my goodness. Any chance of defending that? It's a high line.
He's off.
B, is he offside? He's offside.
Close. One of them was.
It was given, though. 20 minutes to go. Casemiro's header off the bar, and Richarlison can't...
Oh.
Follow up on target.
Good clearance.
He's got to do better than that. I mean, he's way better than that.
Well,
just a little bit behind it.
A couple of minutes later, Casemiro again involved, this time with a free kick.
Goalkeepers love those, don't they, Craig?
Keeper saw it coming miles
What?
off the watch. Yeah, decent.
I mean, he almost waited for it.
So it finishes Brazil 1, Panama 1. Big result for Panama. I don't think Brazil will lose too much sleep over it. Gab, let's talk, meanwhile, about Coutinho. Of course, sources telling ESPN FC over the last 48 hours that Barcelona are looking to sell the midfielder, of course, who they spent so much money on to get from Liverpool.
That's certainly been out there. Coutinho himself and people close to him have said no. He wants to stay in Barcelona. He wants to go and become an important part of the side. But obviously, it's not just down to him. And I think if you're Barcelona, you want to go and spend. You need to go and spend some money. You've got a number of key cogs in your machine, from Piqué at the back to Busquets and Vidal in midfield to obviously Messi and Suarez, who are the wrong side of 30. You need to monetize quickly. And Coutinho is somebody with whom you can do that. But again, he played in this game here for Brazil. He's a pretty confident guy. He thinks he can find his way back into the side. Obviously, a big offer to Barcelona and to him personally might change that over the summer. But his intention right now is not to move.
Are you surprised that he struggled?
A little bit, but then, sometimes it's difficult to adapt going into such a huge atmosphere. Right. And in the shadow of, obviously, Messi and the great success they've had recently. I agree. I think, he has probably 15 months to turn that around. And, of course, if Barca really are desperate to sell him, the player has to be willing to go because he has a contract, so he can sit tight. He might not play as much as he wants, but he can sit tight. I think he'll probably stay and try and see this out. And at the end of next season, if it's not happening, it's not happening. Of course, Barca will be worried about the fee. Yes. The fee dropping and dropping and dropping. That's the risk that you take.
And of course, from the outside of that, if you're a club looking in, there's a concern with that fee because you think, which Coutinho am I getting? The one that lit up Liverpool or the one that has struggled at Barca?
Absolutely, Dan. And it is a puzzle to me why he struggled at Barcelona. I thought, his body of work that he had at Liverpool was fantastic. I mean, he was pulling the strings, he was doing everything. So you would think going into, that front line of Barcelona that he would be, playing with Suarez and Messi, would be fantastic. But it just hasn't quite worked for him. I hope he stays there because he's a fantastic player. And, to Gab's point, if he's a strong character, then, he's turned around.
Meanwhile, regular viewers will know that we stay late. We work hard, don't we? Labouring, answering your questions on Extra Time. The tweets come in. We always have quite a variety of questions. Here's just a sample for today. Someone has written in and asked you about whether or not you plan your outfits, because, boys, you are quite colour-coordinated today, both with a little bit of pink.
Well, the answer is no.
The answer is no, yes.
And we certainly don't coordinate outfits with Mr. Nicol.
No.
Because that would be impossible. But but we don't. It's just...
What's a good insight with regards to Craig and his outfit? If he's comfortable with his weight at the moment, he's been working out recently, is that he'll wear a tie. When he's maybe had a few too many beers and it's starting to show, no tie, because obviously... It gets that.
Are you going to accept
that? No, it's the truth, isn't it?
Are you going to accept
That's the truth.
Well, not really, because I just buy a bigger size neck on the shop.
No, but then it just...
I buy a 16 collar, not a 15 and a half.
Yeah.
But I have to tell you, my 15 and a half collars in my shirt, I was struggling to get a tie on with them for the last few weeks.
Yeah, but now...
So I've hit the gym again.
That's it.
I've got 4 chins down to 2 chins and the tie's back on.
That's it. OK, so more of this over on Extra Time. Just remember, we'll be back tomorrow. Till then, goodbye. Welcome into Extra Time. We kick off with a debate that me and you had before the England game, Paul. When you said that Hudson-Odoi should start ahead of Jadon Sancho.
Well, it was a little heated, to say the least.
You were talking nonsense, that's why.
Well, no, I'm not talking nonsense. You know why I'm not talking nonsense? Because Mr. Gareth Southgate played the young lad.
Yeah, he picked Sancho over Hudson-Odoi.
I know, but cool your jets, but he gave him a chance.
Right.
Even though, yes, I'll give you that he's had limited minutes in the Premier League.
Yes.
There is no doubt. You look at the quotes from
no, let's not go down on that again. Who was better yesterday, Sancho or Hudson-Odoi? Good question.
Well, look, I mean, Sancho plays 70-odd minutes, so you've got to say Sancho. I mean,
OK, that's it. That's all you need to say. That's all you've got to say.
He's got loads of questions.
That's it.
Hold your horses. Just hold your horses. Can we just get to the fact that Gareth Southgate, the England manager, has seen fit to play 2 young... What are they, 18? I mean, that's remarkable.
Yeah.
I mean, all right, Czech Republic, you know, what you can say whatever you want, but international football at Wembley, it was incredible.
What'd you make of it all?
I loved it.
You loved Scotland, didn't you?
Oh, I love Scotland.
Scotland.
Oh.
Those were them, Scotland or Argentina. Gab, what is actually wrong with the Argentine football team? Is it just a lack of good quality footballers, no structure, no cohesion? What's happening?
I think they have the good quality footballers. The problem is they mostly play in the same positions. Again, I wouldn't read too much on the game the other night. It was obviously, you know, experimenting with Foyt and whatever else. But I think there's, and I don't often like blaming FAs, but I think there's deeper issues with the Argentine FA, with the environment around the team, with the way things obviously got out of hand with Sampaoli at the World Cup. All these things together with the atmosphere domestically, it really does bleed into the national side and affect the players. And because you don't have a cohesive unit to begin with, then it makes things even worse.
This carries on the Argentina theme. If Maradona, Pelé or anyone else was to be in Messi's shoes today, do you think the result for the Argentine national team would be any different? How are they going to qualify for the World Cup after Messi retires?
I personally don't think it would be much different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I agree.
I mean, Maradona did do some great things. There's no doubt about that. However, and it's quite a while ago, my memory's not great, was that he had some hard-nosed midfielders and defenders around him that were quite cute about getting the job done. I mean, he did the special things.
He did. If you look at Pelé, he gets to 4 finals. I mean, that's unheard of, isn't it? To get to 4 finals, ridiculous. It's what was around him as well.
Right.
I mean, Pelé was, in my opinion, the greatest player that ever walked the face of the earth. But he had a fantastic supporting cast. Messi is an incredible player and very close to Pelé, but he hasn't got that supporting cast.
Go on, Gab.
No, I was just going to say, it was funny. I was looking at it more from, would the team be more stable and whatever else? And I think the answer, it would be fascinating to see. If that had been Maradona in Messi's shoes, I think what we would see is either he completely takes over the team by hook or by crook, threatens everybody, fires everybody, and it becomes a whole team in his image. And that might actually make them more stable, or it really all goes down the drain and everything falls apart. I don't think you would have any kind of scenario in between.
Final question, Craig.
Yes?
Now that Griezmann seems to be interested, should Barca give a thought about him or go for the likes of Luka Jovic?
I think
Griezmann's regretting maybe that video that he produced 8-9 months ago before the World Cup.
I did think it was time for him to go to pastures new, to be honest, and get a fresh challenge. He's at a very good age and still could do so. I mean, I would take Griezmann, yes.
What's going to happen with Griezmann, Gab?
I don't know. It's a tough one. I mean, look, he's obviously a young man who thinks a little bit differently. You know, he had the clause, he took out the clause, he renewed his contract. Everybody thought he was going to Barcelona. Then he does that video. I think, and it's purely speculation, but from what we're told, from what we're led to believe, I don't see him going from Atleti to Barcelona. I think if there are issues at Atleti, if Simeone leaves or something happens with the ownership, or they need to cash in, I think it's more likely that he would want to go abroad, simply because he's not just chasing glory and silverware and money. He knows what it would mean to Atletico fans if he were to go to Barca. But that's just my guess. But I think at this stage, he's gone too far down that road that I don't see him making that switch.
That's it. We're done. Thank you very much. We're back tomorrow. Craig's got 2 days off, ladies and gentlemen.
Ooh.
At the moment that is for us all. It is the Netherlands against Germany tomorrow. It should be a belter. Join us as we'll be reflecting on it.